In the heart of the deepest, most untouched jungle on Earth, where sunlight struggled to pierce the thick canopy of ancient trees, a colossal shadow moved between the vines. This was Skull Jungle, a place whispered about in explorer legends but never mapped, never tamed. The air was thick with mist and the cries of unseen beasts echoed through the valleys, and towering above them all, like a god among creatures, was King Kong, the last titan of his kind. Kong ruled his domain with unmatched power. Every roar that burst from his chest made birds scatter and predators retreat into the foliage. His fur was black as night, scarred with battles fought long ago. For years he had lived in solitude, maintaining the fragile balance of the jungle. Yet that balance was about to break, because something had entered his kingdom that was not meant to exist. Miles away, deep in a hidden ravine filled with sulfur steam and ancient bones, a beast stirred. It was massive, scaled, and older than time itself, a prehistoric creature, awakened by the Earth's shifting plates. The locals called it Gorgantos, the Serpent of Fire. Its body moved like a living river of muscle and armor, and its eyes burned yellow with rage. The tremors of its awakening spread through the jungle floor, and every creature felt it, even Kong. That morning, as the fog lifted from the treetops, Kong stood atop a ridge overlooking a waterfall. He sensed the disturbance before he saw it, the birds flying in panicked waves, the monkeys screeching and fleeing westward. He beat his chest once, a deep, thunderous sound that echoed for miles. The message was clear. This was his territory, and any challenger would pay. But Gorgantos was no ordinary challenger. It slithered through the jungle, flattening trees, leaving a path of destruction in its wake. Its scales scraped against rock, creating sparks that burned dry leaves. It was drawn by instinct, a hunger to dominate, to reclaim a world that once belonged to creatures like it. The two giants would meet soon, but not before the jungle itself bore witness to the chaos their arrival brought. Herds of dinosaurs, still thriving in the secluded ecosystem, stampeded through the undergrowth. The ground split where Gorgantos moved, and rivers changed course. Lightning flashed across the afternoon sky, as if nature herself anticipated the clash. By dusk, Kong stood in the Valley of Bones, a sacred place where his ancestors had fought and fallen. His nostrils flared as he caught the scent of sulfur and rot. His muscles tensed. The silence around him was unnatural. Even the insects had gone quiet. Then, from the darkness of the trees, a massive head emerged, jaws snapping, eyes glowing through the mist. Gorgantos had arrived. For a moment, both titans stared at each other, the ape and the serpent, two ancient forces of nature. Then Gorgantos let out a guttural hiss that shook the ground. Kong responded with a roar so mighty it made the clouds tremble. The battle for the jungle had begun. Gorgantos struck first, lunging forward with its massive body, trying to coil around Kong, but Kong was fast. He grabbed a fallen tree and swung it like a club, smashing it against Gorgantos' face. The impact echoed like thunder, but the serpent didn't retreat. Instead, it wrapped its tail around Kong's leg and yanked, pulling the ape off balance. Kong fell hard, shaking the earth beneath him. With a vicious strike, Gorgantos tried to sink its fangs into Kong's shoulder. But Kong roared and slammed both fists into the serpent's jaw, prying it open. Blood and steam hissed into the air. He ripped free, rolled aside, and pounded his chest, fury blazing in his eyes. The fight raged across the valley. Trees fell like matchsticks. Rocks shattered. Each blow was a clash of titans, shaking the very bones of the jungle. Kong climbed atop a cliff to gain height and leapt, crashing down on Gorgantos' back. His fists hammered into the creature's skull again and again, until the serpent twisted and flung him across the clearing. Kong slammed into a rock wall, momentarily stunned. Gorgantos seized the chance, lunging forward. Its jaws clamped down on Kong's arm, its teeth slicing through fur and flesh. Kong bellowed in pain and rage. He grabbed the serpent's neck with his other hand and twisted with all his might. The sound of cracking bone filled the air. But the serpent retaliated, its tail smashing into Kong's ribs. Night fell, but the battle didn't stop. The moon rose, silver light glinting off blood and broken stone. The jungle burned in parts where friction and fury had sparked wildfires. The creatures of Skull Jungle watched from afar, terrified but unable to turn away. This was no ordinary fight, it was the battle to decide who would rule the world of beasts. Kong stumbled back, bleeding heavily. He roared at the sky, summoning every ounce of primal power left in his body. He slammed both fists into the ground, sending shockwaves through the earth. The ground beneath Gorgantos cracked open, swallowing part of its tail. The serpent screeched in fury, thrashing wildly. But its movement gave Kong an opening. He charged forward, grabbed the beast's lower jaw with one hand and the upper with the other, and began to pull. His muscles bulged, veins rising like cords of steel. Gorgantos fought back, claws ripping across Kong's chest. But the ape didn't stop. With one final deafening roar, Kong tore the serpent's jaw apart. A gush of black blood exploded into the air. The serpent convulsed, its massive body writhing in agony. It tried to strike one last time, but Kong seized a giant boulder and smashed it down onto the creature's skull. Once, twice, then silence. The jungle trembled as Gorgantos' body went still. The Serpent of Fire was dead. Kong stood over his fallen foe, breathing heavily, his chest rising and falling like a storm tide. Rain began to fall, washing the blood from his fur and cooling the scorched earth. He looked around. The valley was destroyed, the jungle torn apart. But life would return. It always did. He let out a final low rumble, not of rage but of dominance and victory. The creatures that had hidden now emerged, small, trembling, but alive. Birds returned to the treetops, and the sound of life slowly crept back into the night. Kong walked toward the waterfall once more, his massive figure illuminated by flashes of lightning. His wounds were deep, but he didn't falter. He knew that this was not just a victory. It was a reminder to the world that nature still had a king. Days passed. The jungle began to heal. Ash and blood were replaced by new growth, and the river that had been blocked by fallen stone flowed again, carrying away the remnants of battle. Kong spent his days watching from high cliffs, his gaze stretching across the endless green. He knew more challenges would come. There always were, but for now, peace reigned. Far below the surface of the jungle, in a cave that the battle had unearthed, something ancient stirred again. A faint glow pulsed within the darkness, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Perhaps another beast slept there, waiting for the right moment to rise. But that was for another time. For now, King Kong stood alone, the unchallenged ruler of the deep jungle. His roar echoed one last time across the mountains, rolling through the valleys and rivers, declaring his eternal reign. It was a sound that spoke of power, survival, and the timeless will of nature itself. And as the first light of dawn broke through the clouds, cutting across the canopy and touching his scarred face, Kong turned his gaze toward the horizon. The jungle bowed beneath his presence, and for a brief moment, everything was still. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying the echoes of the greatest battle ever fought in the heart of the world. An epic fight between titans that would be remembered in the bones of the earth forever. King Kong had won, but deep inside his primal heart, he knew one truth that every ruler must face. Peace never lasts forever.